Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to our webinar series. Today, I'll be sharing with you our last part of the webinar of this entire order to cash workflow. Today, I'll be sharing with you more on the reporting process, how you can create your report, enhance your report, and distribute your report. With that being said, let me share my screen. All right. So for today, sorry, there's some technical issue. Let me reshare my slide. Right, as usual, after this webinar, we'll be sharing with you the slide and the recording. If you have any questions, feel free to type in the chat, and me and my team will be looking at the questions and answer as soon as possible. You don't need to wait until the end of the webinar to ask any questions that you have. To ask the questions on your panel, you'll be able to see that there's a questions tab. Feel free to just type in your questions and we'll be taking a look at that. All right, let me start with a bit about Simtrax, a bit about us. We have been helping our clients, helping businesses to fully digitalize the process and to make them EDI ready. And how do we do that? We do that by creating a custom-made, a tailor-made solution according to your processes, according to your requirement. Last but not least is we have been doing this for more than 34 years, supporting more than 3,000 companies worldwide. We have 8 offices in total. Today, I'm talking to you from our Singapore office. Let me go through the recaps of our previous webinar, and I'll go through the current situation for reporting, some for thoughts, what it can be, case studies from our existing clients. I will be showcasing to you real time how our solution works, how it looks like, and we'll close it off with a Q&A. Last week, we have been covering about invoicing and the account receivable. We share that what we are noticing, there are many manual processes involved. Some of our clients are still doing three-way matching manually, after which they will manually follow up with their clients. Last but not least, after the end of every processes, there will be a team to input the data, to input the documents one by one to the system. I have shared how we can actually automate and streamline this process. Rather than someone to manually match it, the system will automatically match based on your criteria, for example, the PO number, the invoice number, in which the system will also be able to follow up automatically if payment has not been done and after everything has been completed. The data, the document will be uploaded to your system, to your server. So today, I'll close off the entire order to cash workflow with how we can record items, we can do the reporting. So the current situation is that we have clients, we have people who are still doing the emailing process manually, one by one. If you have a report that you need to submit to your accounting team, to your sales team, to your manager, to your supervisor, you'll do it one by one. And each department will require different format, different data. And reformatting of this document is fairly cumbersome. There are a lot of manual work, there's a lot of verification that is required for you to do this. Last but not least is when you are creating a document, when you're creating a report, sometimes you'll need to reference multiple database. And we do have some situations where clients will need to compile multiple Excel files into a single Excel files frequently. So when we are doing all this reporting, or what we heard from our clients, we thought that, hey, a lot of times we spend more on data validation rather than data analysis. We spend more time on creating the report rather than focusing on the value or the content of the report. Sometimes you might have a very complicated, complex workflow. The report will need to be sent to your supervisor to be checked, and afterward will be sent to the different team to be checked. So all this checking, sending takes a lot of times. Last but not least is, again, all these manual works, all these resources, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes cost. When we are talking about manual processes, we are not just talking about creating the report in this case. We are talking about validating the report. We are talking about someone there waiting for the report to be generated. We are talking about someone who will there to ensure that all the data are available, all the data are keyed in correctly. So all these processes are costly. And we do have some concerns when we are talking about manual report creation or recording, is that the more data that you need to process, the more data that you need to create, it increases the chance of human error. You might miss out some digit, some alphabet, which cause the entire data to be not valid. Because of the times taken to create all this reporting, to create all these records, it slows down. It will become a bottleneck to your reporting process. Last but not least is this is not scalable because of all this issue that was mentioned previously. So again, all these low value tasks, such as creating the report, waiting for the report to be created, ensuring that the data is correct, all these tasks can actually be automated, and it could free up your team's time or your time so that you can focus on more critical business tasks, which is what I would like to share with you today. Today, in this webinar, I would like to share with you how things can be automated, how things can be streamlined for your processes. You can have an instant report creation with a single click or with a scheduled creation. You will receive your report according to what format you want, when and where you need it. These reports are then distributed to the relevant parties. And last but not least, for the creation of the reports, it can reference multiple databases. You have some data in this Excel, some data in your system, and some data maybe in your other database. So all this can be referenced to create a single complete report. To share with you what our clients have been doing or how they have been using Compleo for their reporting process, let me share with you how Siemens has been doing it. So for the initial situation, Siemens has more than 8,000 users using the SAP to create reports daily. And for the reports, it's not just a single or 2 pages report, but it is like sometimes thousands of pages with thousands of rows of data. And their challenges is that this takes a lot of time because they need to compile data from various databases, various systems. Once they have created this report, they need to send it to their vendors to validate that all these are correct. Last but not least is that they need to generate and they need to import this system back to their database. So all these processes takes them a lot of times. So what do we do for them? What we do for them is that using Compleo, they are able to do a burst reporting. They are able to do automated report creations as and when they need it. And for their processes in which they need to convert the report into Excel format for review, they don't need to create 2 separate reports. We'll create it for them. And these reports are able to take in data from various databases, like what I said previously, And last but not least, once these reports are created, once these Excel files are created, it will be automatically sent to the relevant parties, to the relevant vendors. Another client, HSBC, which is a bank, how they have been using us is that they are using us connected with their IBM systems for their internal reporting purpose. For them, their report need to be of a certain format in which IBM is not able to do it for them. So what they do initially is that they physically print it out, scan it to the PDF, then attach it. So there are 3 steps taken just for a single report. The challenge is of course, it's resource intensive, time consuming, and last but not least, they waste a lot of paper because they need to print it out for each and every reports. So what we do for them is we automate this entire process, which is connected to the IBM system, where the moment they need a report, we'll pick up the required spool file, the required data, format them according to how they need it to be. Last but not least is that we will email it out. So here you can see that all these 3 processes are done with a single click, and it can also be automated with a schedule. There's no need for them to print it out, which again reduce the paper cost, the paper wastage. With that being said, I would like to showcase to you how our solutions for reporting will look like and how it will be able to support your automations. For this particular purpose, for this particular demo, I'll be using SAP, but as was said in my case study for HSBC, we are able to connect with IBM system, and we are able to connect with any other ERP system, be it Oracle, JD Edwards, Sage, any other ERP system, we are able to connect with it. I'll just log on to my SAP account. Okay, let me log in. Okay, so while waiting, let me explain to you what presentation or what demo I'll be showcasing to you. So for this, I'll be showing to you how we can create a report automatically. And not only that, this report will be an enhanced report combined from multiple databases and will be distributed automatically to who needs this report. So I'll be showcasing you 2 types of demo for this particular demo. So my first report will be a vendor report. So here what I need to do is, or what I want to do is, I want to create a report based on which vendor I have been talking to, interacting with, and what is the transaction, what has been going on. And for this particular demo, I'll be exporting out, or I'll be printing out report from this vendor code 3000 to 3100, which if I were to check, I have a lot of transaction with them. I have a lot of vendors involved. I have vendors such as CEB New York, for example. I have vendors such as Worldwide Computer. I have vendors such as Mobile Inc., for example. So here, for each and every vendors, I have done multiple transactions with them. I want to print it out in an Excel format. What I'll do here, or what, sorry. So what I'll do here is I'll just print this document out. And because I print it out to Compleo, Compleo will then pick up this data, sort it for me, break it down for me. What do I mean by that? By default, if you have to print out this document, you have this long list of data, long list of documents in which you need to manually split themselves, or you will need to print one by one for each and every vendors. What Compleo do is it does exactly what you are doing, except that it is automated. So once it has been processed, let me check my email. Okay, so I think it's still processing. If that's the case, let me just share with you. So while waiting, let me share with you the next demo. Okay, so here you can see that our process or our systems are able to take in multiple processes at the same time. So while waiting for the first demo documents to be processed, I'll be running the second demo concurrently. For my second demo, I'll be printing out a material report, a material for a certain plant, certain factory. And for this particular report, it's just a material report, but once I print it out, you'll be able to see that there's something different. Okay, so while waiting for the second report to be processed, let me share with you the output from the first demo, from the first report. So for the first report, you can see that Compleo has split up each and every vendor per email, per CSV file or Excel file. Here I have a file, or I have an Excel file for CEB New York, one of the vendor. And if I were to take a look at the content of this vendor, taking some time to load. Okay, here I will be able to see that this is the Excel file for CEB New York. These are the items, the price, date, the transaction details. So all the data are arranged nicely as per how you want it to be. And now I just close this. And here I have another report by Fremont Supplies, which is another vendor. And these other items or the transaction that I've done with them. Last but not least, I have a report by Worldwide Computer, as what I have shown you. It is in my database of my vendor. Here you can see same thing. These are the items, the transaction, and the informations of the details. So all this data arrangement format is flexible, is customizable, is according to what you need and how you need it to be. So that's for the first report. Let me showcase to you how the second report looks like. Let me just update. Hopefully it has been processed. I think it's still taking some time. Let me just share with you the one that I have run previously. Please bear with me. Getting an email still okay, sure. So yep, for the Mara report or for the material report, it will be similar to, let me just put it side by side. It will be similar to what we've seen from SAP with a bit of enhancement. So you will be able to see the material description, last changes, etc., etc. But what I would like to showcase to you here is that we have added 3 more columns over here, the MRP type, MRP controller, and MRP group, which is not from this particular database. It is from different other tables. And what we have been doing is we will reference the items and we'll pull up the data from different database. And not only that, if you were required a graph, this graph can be automatically created for you as well. So all this enhancement, all this creation, it is very flexible. It is up to you how you want it to be. With that being said, let me go back to my slide, and I'll be answering. Okay, wait, before that. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when we are talking about IT transformation, when we are talking about adopting new technologies, there are 4 different methods to achieve this according to Deloitte. The first one will be IT transformation, in which you revamp your infrastructure, your processes. But these changes will definitely disrupt your current processes, will definitely disrupt something. And what about the result? You can't really predict whether this will make things better, faster. On the other hand, you have something called RPA. This is a process automation. For process automation, as you can see from our case studies and our demonstration just now, we don't really disrupt your process. Instead, we enhance your process. Whatever process you have been doing, for example, you have been doing ABC, we'll just do ABC, but ABC is now automated. And because of that, it is easy to predict how fast or how predictable things will be. What is the outcome of this adoption? And this is where Simtrax, or this is where Compleo stand. We focuses on digital transformation and process automation, but we don't disrupt your processes. That being said, I'll go to Q&A. Let me take a look at some of the questions that are available here. Okay, so there are 2 questions here. For the first question will be more on the data. So for us, the question will be, what kind of data can we extract? What kind of data can we present? So for Compleo, we are able to take in different format, CSV, PDF, XML. We are able to take in that. And once we take in this data, we can export to what other format you want. We can export it to Excel file, PDF file, XML file. We can do that. Then the last question will be on, okay, what types of ERP can we connect to, and what if we don't have ERP? So I didn't showcase it in our case study, but we do have clients who have data in their folders and not in any ERP. Same thing, we are able to connect with your folder, or we can supervise your folder, and any data that is inside that particular folder, we are able to extract it out and interact with it. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Okay, so if that's the case, thank you so much for attending my webinar. This is our last webinar for order to cash processes. We have already covered all the way from the start until the end today. If you have any other webinar or any other topics that you would like to suggest, or if you'd like to connect with me on my social media or email, feel free to do so. And as mentioned, at the end after this webinar, we'll be sharing with you our slides. We'll be sharing with you the recording. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a nice day.